Hi students, welcome back in the second part of the chapter number 8. The name of the chapter is The Glory of Bharatvarsh. Indian culture is the most complex and colorful culture on the planet. The way people look, their language, their food, their way of dressing, and their music and dance. Everything changes every 50 or 100 kilometers in our country. So, children, let's have a quick recap of our previous session. In previous session, we spoke about unity in diversity, where people from different culture and traditions come together and stand united. We learnt about Stone Age all the way till 8th century and gathered information about art, architecture and social life of our country. We learnt about food, tools and irrigation methods of ancient India. We understood the life of the people of North India, that is Gram Bhojak and his ancestral positions, and now he was and how he assigned the responsibility of collecting revenue, maintaining law and order by the king, and employing people. In South India, people were divided into three categories: big landlords, small farmers, landless laborers. Then we understood the life in towns, which were part of Mahajanpadas. The town planning was systematic with fortifications for safety of the kingdom and use of spherical wells for drainage. We understood the clothing of people called Nevi, Vas and Adhivas. Last but not the least, we learned the two art forms, fine arts and performing arts, which included painting, drawing to drama and dance. Now let's move ahead to Indian literature. Literature in India. Indian literature is divided into three parts: religious literature, non religious literature, description by foreign travelers. Let's study each one in detail. Let's start with the religious literature. Books and manuscripts dealing with religion are known as religious texts. Vedas are considered to be the oldest literature of India. The four Vedas are the earliest form of Veda: Rigveda, then Yajurveda, the book of prayers; Samveda, the earliest references for singing; and Atharvaveda, the book of magic and charms. The Brahmin texts are the text that explains the performance of Vedic rituals. The Aranyakas constitutes the philosophy behind ritual sacrifice of the ancient Hindu sacred text of Vedas. They include Shatpat Brahmins, which means proceeding in 100 ways; Gopat Brahmin, a genre of the prose text describing Vedic rituals; and Brihadaranyak Brahmin, which tells about the supernatural facts related to the universe. Talking about Ramayana written by Valmiki. It is an ancient Sanskrit epic about the life of Ram and about the social life and moral standards of that time. When we talk about Mahabharat, which is also known as Jay Samhita, written by Vedvyas, it depicts victory collection. Children, do you know it is also known as the fifth Veda because it explains the principles of the four Vedas and also contains the Bhagavad Gita. The Upanishads are the philosophical religious text of Hinduism, also known as Sanatan Dharma, meaning external path, which develops and explains the fundamental beliefs of the religion. About 108 Upanishads of Indian compilations, Katha, Kena, Prasna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Ishvavasyam, and Chandogya Upanishads are great texts of Indian philosophy. The Puranas are Hindu religious texts. They contain narratives about the history of the universe from creation to destruction and the genealogies of kings, heroes, sages, and deities. Out of 18 Puranas, Vishnu Purana, Garud Purana, Vayu Purana, and Matsya Purana, as well as Bhagavad, are known as special texts. Tripitaka is considered to be a record of the words of Buddha. Original texts of Buddhism are known as Tripitaka. It includes Sukta Pitaka, which refer to the verses of truth. Vinay Pitaka, the one that regulates monastic life and daily affairs of monks and nuns, according to rules attributed by Buddha, and Abhidham Pitaka, which refers to the scholastic method itself as well as the field of knowledge. Other important texts include Didhanikaya, Angutar Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Milind Pano of Nagsen, and Srimulkalpa of Aryamanjishi. Buddhist text writers in Tibetan language are Kangyur and Tengur. Mythical stories known as Jatak Kathas along with Brihat Katha, Harivansh Purana, Vasudev Vidhi, Siddhem Shabdan Anushasan, Dvaishwarya, and Kirti Kamudi are main texts. The texts containing the teachings of Mahavir are called Agam text. There are 12 Agam Granthas. Ancient Jain literature is divided into 12 texts or Anga. Angas are the religious texts followed by the Jains. The book says about the laws of life that is to be governed by the followers. It also deals with ways to be followed to be pure and obtain enlightenment after life. Main text includes Agams, Acharanga, and Vitalik, Dasha Vitalik Sutra. Now let's explore non-religious literature. Non-religious or secular literature is the one which comprises of worldly things and not pertaining to religious rituals or beliefs. This kind of literature is rather more rational and scientific in its approach. Poems, dramas, accolades, grammar texts, and smritis are included in non-religious literature. Smritis are Hindu law text. Manusmriti, Yagnavalkya Smriti, and Narad Smriti are law text. Kautilya's Arthashastra is also a law text, which refers to the practice of political diplomacy that arose in India and is a perfect example of written material on position policy and military strategy. Great poets of ancient India who wrote plays and poems are Mahakavi Bas, Kalidas, Shudrak, Bharvi, etc. Some important epics include Abhigyan Shakuntalam, a play that revolves around the story of King Dushyant and Shakuntala, Raghuvansham that describes the line of kings of the Raghu dynasty, Meghdutam, a lyrical poem that describes how a yaksh who was banished by his master to a remote region for a year asked a cloud to send message to his wife. Kirat Arjunam, an epic poem that describes that combat between Arjun and Lord Shiva at Indra Kiladri Hill. Swapna Vasadhattam, a Sanskrit play written in 6 acts describing the sorrow of a king for his queen who is believed to have perished in fire, and Mrichakatikam, a Sanskrit drama that describes the affection between an impoverished Brahmin and a well-being courtesan. In South India, Sangam literature was composed in first 3 centuries. Sangam means a gathering of learned men. It is the most ancient literature which is almost entirely religious. 1600 folk poets have composed heroic poems in 3 Sangam meetings in Madurai. Shilpadikaram. This epic is a tragic love story of an ordinary couple, Kanaki and her husband Kavilam, and Mani Mekhalai, which is the sequel of the earlier epic, describes the story of Mani Mekhalai, the daughter of Kanaki and Kavilam. They both are important literatures. Panini's Ashtadhyayi sums up 4,000 sutras. The science of phonetics and grammar that evolved in the Vedic religion was composed in 5th century BC and is considered the best grammar text in Sanskrit. Ashoka's inscriptions inform about administration during Mauryan Empire and ethical rules of Buddhist religion of ancient India. Poetry and texts developed during Gupta age are Samudragupta's Prayag Prashasti, written by Hari Sen, that mentions the achievements of Samudragupta as a great warrior. Udayagiri's Chandragupta II Prashasti, written by Veersen Sabha, that explains how Chandragupta continued the expansionist policy of his father and how he extended his empire in all 4 directions. Harsh Charita, in praise of Harsha by Banbhatta, depicts the court and times of the Buddhist emperor Harsha of northern India. Now let's move ahead to description of foreign traders. Greek ambassador Megasthenes from the court of Chandragupta Maurya has written Indica. It tells about the reconstruction of ancient India under the Mauryan Empire and shows us the rich culture and economy of India. Greek sailor Ptolemy gives information about ports of India. Much of medieval astronomy and geography were built on his ideas. Chinese travelers Fa Hian and Huan Sang have given unique description about the social life, rulers and culture of the time of Chandragupta II and Harshvardhan respectively. They both were Chinese Buddhist monks who described their journey in the form of travelogue and precious manuscripts that were then translated to Chinese. Now let's move ahead to traders' new routes. In ancient times, India was a rich country well known for its trade and commerce for its various commodities with foreign countries. India's prosperity was at its peak during that time. Trade was done mainly either through the land routes or through sea routes. Let's learn in detail about trading in ancient India. A city considered as a major port of Harappan civilization, Lothal, where a carriage dockyard and warehouse was found which provide information about sea transport. Pottery, utensils and various kinds of jewelry was made by the people. Trading of beads made from oysters and ivory was done. Indian spices and condiments and precious stones were in great demand during ancient times. Ancient India was far ahead in comparison with other countries of those time in terms of trade. Cotton, silk and spices were exported to Europe via Central Asia. Indian goods were known for its excellence. Cotton, silk and spices were exported to Europe via Central Asia. Cotton textiles, silk textiles, spices, cinnamon, and timber were exported, and gold, silver, and other items were imported to east and west part of the world through international ports like Khambat, Bharuch, Sopara, and Tamralipti. The Silk Route was a network of trade routes which connected the east and the west and was central to the economic, cultural, political, and religious interactions between these regions. People traveled from China to remote areas on foot and on horseback and carried silk cloth. This route was called Silk Route. Merchants of China, India, Iran, Arabistan, and Rome were associated with this trade route. Ports of South India were known centers for exporting black pepper and other spices. With this, I conclude today's session here. We will meet soon again in the next session of the chapter. Till then, bye bye. Take care.